Hey there, welcome back everyone, Metal Shop Steve. Today I am going to get back to my roots, which of course, if you've been with me for any length of time, you know is hair metal. Hair metal is my love, so today we're going to talk about a little bit more hair metal. Um, Kind of similar to a video I did not that long ago. Not really, I don't know, maybe it'll become a format for me for certain types of videos, but I like to call this maybe kind of an overlooked or underrated look at a hair metal band. Maybe they were overlooked because, they put out a ballad and that's what people latched onto, or maybe they were just forgotten in the wave of other metal that came through and pushed them out of the way. Either way, today's band is Slaughter. I did a video on Firehouse not that long ago. This is kind of similar for me. I really think musically they're overlooked. They put out some great albums, some really good rock. Was it groundbreaking stuff? No. But it's really listenable. They rock, they work hard, and they have a very distinct sound. I think, of course you can compare them to other bands stylistically, maybe a little bit to Firehouse, maybe a little bit to Motley Crue, somewhere in there. Mark Slaughter, the lead man on this band, he has a very distinct voice. You hear his voice, you know right away it's Mark Slaughter. And it's kind of a higher end voice, although it's got some edge, it's got rough edges to it, almost bordering on a little bit of a scream here and there when he's singing the higher notes. But if you don't like the voice, you don't like the band. And I have heard that critique before. For me, I like it. I can work with it. Musically, otherwise, they have a pounding backbeat. They really provide just a solid background to all the songs. And guitar-wise, it's just very classic metal riffs, solos, everything that you want out of this type of music. So if you're looking to get in and rock out to some good 80s, 90s rock, metal, hair metal, Slaughter's a pretty good choice to check out. And I'm going to go through, just like I did with Firehouse, I'm going to talk about their first three albums. The first one we're going to start out with is Stick It To Ya. I actually have that one with me right here. I don't want to say that a lot of the bands of that era started out strong and then fizzled, but unfortunately that's kind of what happened for whatever reason. So Stick It To Ya is their most recognizable album. Came out in 1990, the debut album. Two huge hits on this album. Number one, Up All Night. That was their rocker. That introduced everybody to Slaughter. And then also they had more of a ballad kind of song, but it still rocked really hard. It was called Up All Night. So if you know anything about 80s music, 90s music, metal, then you've heard these two songs. You know the songs. You know how they go. But that album actually was full of a lot of other great rock. A lot of stuff that didn't get the press that those two songs did. But it deserves to. The opener, Eye to Eye, is, again, it's a great opener. I love a great opener. And it's kind of almost a little bit of a social message here. Don't judge me. I'm not going to judge you. And I think that was a feeling that a lot of rockers had, a lot of hair metal folks had, that's come up as far back as rock and roll has gone on. Long-haired hippies, long-haired rockers, people judging you based on your appearance like that. So that kind of is a little bit of a nod to that sort of way of thinking. Another one on here, another probably popular song, at least to my recollection, is Spend My Life. That's really a ballad. Not a bad song at all. And then going on down the list here, Thinking of June is a nice little piece they added on here. And I love when bands put on just a little bit of something to show you that they do have some chops musically. And this is a classical acoustic guitar piece. It's short, but it shows that they know what they're doing instrumentally. Again, Fly to the Angels, huge hit, huge video. And then to finish up that album, really, there's another one that's, it's maybe not blowing anybody away musically, metal-wise. It's called Desperately, but it's very catchy. It's hooky. It's got the guitar riffs. It's got the soloing. It's got all of that good pop metal stuff. A great way to end the album here for that one. Stick It To You, the debut. They followed that one up 2 years later with another pretty successful album, The Wildlife. Again, they had some hits off of this one as well, probably recognizable, maybe not as recognizable as the stuff from the first album, but here we go. Reach for the Sky, the opener. It's aggressive, it's loud, and to start out, this album almost really sounds, I'd say if you're comparing the two, that almost sounds a little bit heavier than the first album. And that happens a lot of times too, at least it did in this era of music. So an aggressive opener, it's got a great catchy chorus. They follow that out with Out for Love, kind of has a little bit of a Motley Crue flavor to it, even maybe with a little bit of motorcycle. They throw a little bit of motorcycle revving in here and there, and I don't know if that's just something they liked or it sounded really awesome when Motley Crue did it, so they decided to do it too. The Wildlife, the title track, that was a single. It's a good song. It's kind of dark. It's about, kind of prowling around after dark, finding lots of stuff to get into. Good song. Kind of the biggest, I don't know, maybe the biggest hit on this album was called Real Love. I don't know, borderline ballad, maybe. But I think it's probably my favorite song on the album. It's a dark, if it is a ballad, it's dark. It's dark, it's brooding. It's not really like a happy love song kind of thing. And I have a note here on my pad because kind of a secret about me, I'm a metal guy, but I love Journey. I love Steve Perry. I think he has one of the greatest rock and roll voices of all time. And I have my note here for Real Love that Journey would be proud. It is the chorus, the catchiness, the musicality of it. It's really a great song, and probably overall, in terms of everything, one of my favorite Slaughter songs across any of their work. Toward the end of the album, they have a song called Do You Know, and that's a rocker to really keep you rolling, to help you close out this album the right way. And then another song right at the end, which I find not funny, that's the wrong word for it, but it's a good time. It's called Old Man. It's got a very country rock, bluesy type of vibe. And if you listen carefully through their albums, they do have a bluesy swagger about a lot of their songs, which I like a lot. And this one definitely features it. You can kind of picture yourself in the story. It's Mark Slaughter talking to an old man somewhere in the country. That's the best that I can give you. Nice way to finish that up then. Moving on from that, their third album, that's as far as I'm going to go. I haven't really listened to anything. I know they put out albums past that, but if you're looking for them, they're a little bit harder to find. So the third album is called Fear No Evil. That came out in 1995, so about 3 years after The Wildlife. They really did more experimenting musically on this album, Fear No Evil. And what I mean by that is they stretched the idea of that bluesiness, the not country rock, but southern rock almost. They stretched that out a little bit. They explored a little bit of other things musically, but I'll talk about that as I go through the songs here. Live Like There's No Tomorrow, that's the opener. It's again, it's a hard-driving opener. They really knew how to put an album together, how to feature some of the best songs right away just to get you hooked into that album. And that's very much in the style of the rockers that they've got on their first two albums. I will say, though, that similar to the way that I thought Firehouse progressed, I feel like Slaughter kind of went in the same thing, where the first two albums were great, fantastic, nothing wrong with the third album, but for me, that's where it started to lose a little bit of momentum. Musically, didn't have the same punch that the first two did when I think they were probably more hungry and willing to really go after it. Anyway, not a bad critique, just opinion there. Get Used to It, another great song, another great rocker on this album. I'll Be Alright is the one that I want to talk to you about. I'll Be Alright is, right from the very start, it has a very Beatles-esque kind of sound and flair. They're experimenting with different sounds, different instruments. keyboard sounds, but not in like a, Final Countdown kind of way, but like airy, experimental Beatles. Like that's really the kind of sound you get there. It's a positive, upbeat song all the way around. I wouldn't even call it a ballad because it's just kind of a happy song. After that, they finish up this album with two of my favorite tracks on here. Out of My Head is just another classic rocker. It's riff driven. And then finally, they finish the album with Unknown Destination. And I don't know if that's a nod to where their career was headed or where future albums were headed, but it's a great song. Unknown Destination, maybe my favorite song on this album. My favorite song got stuck right at the end, which is fine with me because I was going to listen all the way to the end anyway. So that's my take on Slaughter. Again, I think an overlooked band of that era. Again, not doing anything necessarily groundbreaking, but not doing anything bad either. They are solid, they're consistent, they rocked, they give you pretty much everything that you're looking for if you're looking for just a good time, some good listen, crank it up in your car kind of stuff. That's it for Slaughter. Again, I've had kind of a busy week here. I have a couple other videos out. I have a couple more coming out. So I'm just going to keep rolling with it. Again, please subscribe. Talk back to me. Let me know what you think. If you hate Slaughter, let me know. I know that that's certainly out there. If you love them, let me know that as well. And otherwise, again, thank you for coming by, and I hope to see you again soon.